Alright guys, welcome to today's video, and today I've got another ridiculous demigod build really, this one is. So it's meant to be Magic Johnson. It isn't a point guard, we're making it a small forward, but that's the closest you can get to having a ridiculously tall point guard in this game that can pretty much do everything. So I've made him number 32 like Magic, and I've tried to make him look as much like Magic as possible. Apologies if it looks a bit awful, oh well. So we're going to of course choose the pure playmaking pie chart. To make the player as tall as possible while still having good playmaking abilities or playmaking abilities that reflect Magic Johnson, we need to choose a pure playmaking pie chart. With the physical profile, we're going to be able to speed boost on this build. This build's going to be a very good dribbler, and to make sure that we can actually do that at such a large height, we need to pick the pure speed physical profile. Although I get that Magic was quite strong and used to pose people up, you're not going to be able to do that too much in this build. You can do it a bit, but anyway, moving on to setting the potential. So we're going to go to shooting first, max the mid-range, max the free throw, and the post fade. Then lower one of these two. I'd say free throw, because I wouldn't use this build in 5s. And lower it till you still have 15, so lowering it by 1 I think. Yeah, lowering it by 1. The pass accuracy and ball handle were going to be maxed, but then lower the pass accuracy until it drops. So we're going to have 23 playmaking badge points in this build, which is a good number. On the defense, we're going to max interior, perimeter, and lateral, and the steal, and then the defensive rebounds for the badge points. You don't get loads of defending badge points in this build, but I found that I get away with it most of the time because of how tall the build is. You usually don't struggle too much, and the defending stats may not seem too brilliant, but don't worry too much, especially because you have good interior defense. You can't get exploited on defense by people just slashing over and over again, unlike a lot of the smaller guard builds in the game. Put points up by 2, or how is it by 2? Yeah, by 2 you get 6 defending and rebounding badge points. On either of these, it doesn't really matter too much. And then for the finishing, driving dunk, driving layup all the way up, and then the close shot all the way up as well. And then bring the standing dunk up until you get to 8 finishing. And then you can put the rest of the points wherever you like. So on post moves, it won't give you an extra playmaking badge, unfortunately. You can pretty much put it anywhere and it's not going to make a difference. So we're going to put it on standing dunk. You can put it on what you like though. Okay, so body shape is really up to you, but I'm going to pick compact. The height, I'm going to go with 6'8". I know that Magic was 6'9", but 6'8", if you're 6'9", you need Hall of Fame floor general, and you have to be like 99 overall to be able to speed boost off the start. You won't be able to do momentum or that on this build unless you have floor general at like 97 plus overall. But at 6'8", we're making sure that you can speed boost without floor general once the build's maxed, really. And what I mean by max is like 96, 97 overall. Actually, not even that. My build could speed boost from the start of the game before I was 96, 97 overall. So by the time you're 95, basically. So I'm going to go with 6'8". The weight all the way down. You also need to be getting gym rat on this build. So to speed boost in this game, it's a combination of your speed stat, your speed and your ball handle. It's made up of 70% speed and 30% ball handle, so you need your speed to be as high as possible. So here it's saying that the speed's 84. You need to have gym rat so that it gets into the high 80s, otherwise you won't be able to speed boost on this build until you score like a few times. The wingspan, we're going to drop it down and then go 1 up because the 3-point stays the same and the ball handle stays the same. An 80 ball handle and a 74 3-point. It's not the longest wingspan in the world, but then you are taller, so your wingspan's longer than like most guards, so it's still decent enough. And then we're going to pick playmaking takeover. I wouldn't choose shot creating. Like, even though the mid range is all right, you're not going to be shooting any crazy off dribbles, and you don't get Hall of Fame shooting badges. So the build name should be a point forward. Oh, okay. It's named it a slashing playmaker. That's because I've put on an extra finishing badge point. The way that I made it was to get the point forward name. I didn't put the standing dunk up as much, so I only had 7 badge points for finishing, and I put more of my attributes towards defending. I put it on offensive rebound or block, one of the two, and it didn't give me an extra defensive badge, so I kind of messed my build up. But if you want it to be called a point forward, do that rather than putting those points on the standing dunk. So the badges. Obviously put this to 99. We're not going to play this test game because I've got gameplay. in this video. But right, so for the finishing, I'll show you what I use, and then obviously if you can make this version, it's called a slashing playmaker, you can put the extra point on. What I use is this, so fancy gold, slivery gold, consistent on bronze, and then the last badge point, if you're going to make it like this with a slashing playmaker name, it could go on relentless or contact, even though you're not going to get contact dunks, or it's consistent even up to silver, or pro touch, or even lob. There's a few different badges you can use depending on how you want to play with this build. Wait a second, I'll just put that on something quick. Right, the shooting. So I go up, especially if you're running point guard with this build, which I recommend. ISO in with this build with 2 players in the corner, or 1 at the hash and 1 in the corner. If you're a good dribbler, you're gonna love this build in park. Like, it's so easy to streak with. You're gonna see in my clips, you can absolutely cook up people with it. Especially if you're running with 2 players that are taller than you, like 2 rebounding wings, and they're at the 2 and the 3. This build, like, it's a joke because you're dribbling against guards which are a lot smaller than you, and you can just bully. So what I would recommend running: quick draw gold, range extender gold, hot zone hunter gold. Like I said in my Zion Williamson build video, this badge makes so many whites go in, and it just helps you green as well. Like, it's one of the best shooting badges in the game. These 3 are a must. Green machine on gold, and then difficult shots on gold, because well, difficult shots pops up on post fades, and once you get the build up to like 99, your post fade's actually in the low 80s. And if you're playing with someone floor general as well, like a play glass or something, your post fade actually becomes more than usable in this build. Although I don't do it very much, I don't go to the post, and I get that the player isn't too strong, but if you learn post top shots, like if you use post top 1 that's really OP and fade 3, you can actually hit some fades on this build if you can learn the timing. But if you don't want to put it on difficult shots, or you want to lower green machine slightly, like on silver and gold I don't really notice much of a difference, you could do this, so silver corner, silver catch, if you play out of the corner with this build a little bit more, which I wouldn't necessarily recommend, unless you want to just run a lineup for fun with like another guard and you're the 2, and then you have like a center at the 3-on-3s or something. But you can mess around with the badges a bit, but what I run is literally just this. Alright, so with the playmaking, I run handle stays Hall of Fame, quick first step Hall of Fame, diamond Hall of Fame. And then depending who I'm playing with, and whether I'm going to be playing Prime 3v3 or Park, or whether I want to start doing flashy passes and that, especially in the Park, I like to run flashy passes on Hall of Fame sometimes just to get my teammates to take over really quickly. But these 3 badges are like a must, and then the rest of your badge points, depending on what you're playing, go on. I'd recommend putting them on Ankle Breaker, Bailout, Flashy Passer, those 3. Floor General's a good one as well. I use Floor General a lot, especially like there's some people I play with that have builds where if I boost their stats, their playmaking gets slightly better and they can speed boost, or they get 86 ball control, for example. It's really a lot of people use the badge, but I don't think it's appreciated sometimes how good it is. It's ridiculous. I guess you could even stick post spin on. I haven't tried it, but if you're going to actually use this build in the post a little bit by shooting those post fades, if you learn the timing, this probably could be quite broken, especially if you get put at the 1 and you're being guarded by a guard that isn't 2-way. Like, you could actually abuse people. It's ridiculous. Unpluckable, in my opinion, this bit of a broken badge. Works sometimes and it doesn't work at all in other games, but it's not a bad badge. Needle Threader's not bad. Space Creators, again, can be a really OP badge when it activates quite a lot. There's a fair few badges you can put it on, but as long as you have these 3 as your core badges, you're pretty much good to go, in my opinion. Let's just stick these on random things quickly so that I can move on. Right, and then the defending. I am more than aware that this build doesn't have the greatest number of defending badges. It isn't the best defensive build in the world. If we come up against a really sweaty team, me and my teammates, especially on freeze, what we'll do is that quite often if we come up against a team running screens or they've got someone in the corner on offense, I'll take the guy in the corner, because I'm not going to say this build's a defensive liability. But if you plan a lot of builds which are 2-way, you are going to feel a little bit slower with this build on defense. The lateral quickness isn't too great. It's not the best defender in the world. It definitely does benefit from, if someone on your team's using defensive leader, that helps a lot because your build does feel a lot faster on defense. But what I typically run: silver clamps, silver intimidator, and I put the last 2 points on chase down and rim protector. As I said in my Zion video, with these badges on bronze, you get all of the block animations in the game, And even though the build's block rating is really, really poor, you still get a lot of blocks. Like it is noticeable that the blocking isn't quite as effective on this build compared to my Zion build, even though I have the same badges on for getting blocks. Because and that's fair enough because the block rating isn't great on this build, but I still do get like a decent number of blocks. In my opinion, it's worth spending these 2 points on the build to be able to get those blocks inside. But if you're not too bothered about going for blocks or anything, or you don't think it's too important, you can take those off and just effectively just stick Intimidator up and put clamps up, and then run those 2 on gold, and then your player's a fairly decent perimeter player as well. But yeah, the build's defending isn't too brilliant, but then you do have to remember you're 6'8". Like, you've got a lot of height, so you can recover and get contests quite easily because of how tall you are, and the defensive rebounds in the low 80s. So I guess you could even, if you don't want rim protection chase down, stick on rebound chaser and silver, and you're like I get a lot of defensive rebounds on this build because I'm tall. I'm the same height as these rebounding wings running around the park. And if I get the box out, a large amount of the time I will get the rebound over them, even though their rebounding is slightly higher, because my rebounding is like in the low to mid 80s on the defensive end. But yeah, that's really up to you. But I used it. I used this setup. Right. Okay. So getting onto the gameplay.
Screen from here to Bangor, Maine. One of the greatest players of all time, It's showtime.
He had a passion, an incredible passion to play basketball. He loved the game. He loved to entertain the crowd.
Magic's just a great basketball player. He's the best I've ever seen.
He was my driving force.
I just don't think there'll ever be another 6'9" point guard that smiles while he humiliates you.